The television interview, called Oprah with Meghan and Harry, was broadcasted by CBS on March 7, 2021 in the United States and later in 67 more countries, generating large media coverage. While Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, and Oprah Winfrey were alone in the first part of the interview, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, joined them soon after. Many topics were covered, but there were quite a few of Meghan Markle's and Prince Harry's statements which sparked confusion amongst viewers, some of them being later debunked. Let's take a closer look at those that were misleading, if not utterly wrong, and find out why the interview received very mixed reactions. A story started to circulate in the British media after Meghan and Harry got married, saying that Meghan made her sister-in-law, Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, cry over a discussion regarding the flower girl's dresses. When asked by Oprah within the first 10 minutes of the interview, Meghan insisted that the roles were reversed, meaning Kate made her cry. A few days before the wedding, she was upset about something pertaining. Yes, the issue was correct, about flower girl dresses, and it made me cry and it really hurt my feelings. And I thought, in the context of everything else that was going on in those days leading to the wedding, that it didn't make sense to not be just doing whatever everyone else was doing, which was trying to be supportive, knowing what was going on with my dad and whatnot. Although Meghan said that Kate later apologized to her with flowers and a note, after which she quote-unquote forgave her, there have been several sources claiming that this wasn't the truth. While some sources said Meghan quote-unquote slammed the door in Kate's face when her sister-in-law visited her at Nottingham Cottage to apologize with a bunch of flowers, another source claimed that quote-unquote both women were in tears over the incident. Finally, in December 2018, the rumors were denied by a spokesperson for Kensington Palace, stating there hasn't been an argument between the two women. According to Omid Scobie, author of the book Finding Freedom, a source told him that neither Meghan nor Kate cried, and that, despite the stressful situation, both of them remained professional. Even though it doesn't seem like there will ever be a definite answer to the question if Meghan made Kate cry or the other way around, because this is very much of a he said she said situation, it is still worth noticing that this was the only time Meghan and Harry accused a member of the royal family by name, knowing that Kate most likely wouldn't defend herself, since the royals have a very strict no comment policy, with her adopting to the Queen's never complain, never explain approach to not fuel the fire of gossip even more by giving out a statement. To the surprise of many viewers, Meghan Markle implied she and Harry had a secret wedding in their so-called backyard 3 days before the public wedding on May 19, 2018. 3 days before our wedding, we got married. No one knows that, but we called the Archbishop and we just said, look, this spectacle is for the world, but we want our union between us. So, like, the vows that we have framed in our room are just the two of us in our backyard with the Archbishop of Canterbury. This statement was supported by Harry, confirming it with the words, just the three of us. As it turned out, this exchange of vows does not count as an official religious nor legally recognized marriage, since at least 2 witnesses would have been required at the ceremony and no registered venue exists. According to the pastor Mark Edwards, this informal exchange of vows only classifies as a private conversation. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, commented as well on the claim, stating, "The legal wedding was on the Saturday. I signed the wedding certificate, which is a legal document, and I would have committed a serious criminal offense if I signed it knowing it was false." Later in March, it was confirmed by a spokesperson for the couple that the quote-unquote secret wedding was indeed just a mere exchange of personal vows and doesn't qualify as a legal nor official service. Therefore, the couple's official marriage certificate proves that the marriage took place on May 19, 2018, the witnesses being Harry's father and Meghan's mother. There have been defenders of Meghan and Harry who claimed that the Duchess just wanted to make clear that the private exchange of vows was more meaningful to them than the official wedding in front of the media and public, but this explanation is still questionable. Since getting married is usually associated with an official exchange of vows, and Meghan Markle did not make clear this wasn't the case, I have to agree with the critics that her statement was highly misleading. During the interview, when Meghan was talking about feeling trapped by the firm, she mentioned that her passport and driver's license were taken away from her and implied she didn't have any access to them. I mean, you have to understand as well, when I joined that family, that was the last time, until we came here, that I saw my passport, my driver's license, my keys. All that gets turned over. I didn't see any of that anymore. Robert Lacey, a historian, explained that Meghan had to hand in her documents because it was necessary for her own safety, since driving by herself would have been a serious safety issue. When traveling internationally, she would of course have access to her passport. The Queen is the only member of the royal family who doesn't need a passport while traveling. It was routine, and probably anything would be accessible to her if she wanted it, said royal commentators, and further explained that her documents were kept in a secure as well as accessible place with those of other royals. Apart from that, Meghan went on 13 international trips during the time she claimed to not have had any access to her passport, including Botswana, Italy, Amsterdam, and New York. Judging someone's mental health is of course a very delicate subject and should never be taken lightly. Therefore, it should be remembered that we can only falsify the information Meghan gave, but not her overall mental condition during her time as an active member of the royal family. When she tried to seek help from the palace's Human Resources Department because of her mental health issues, she got rejected, Meghan stated. And so I went to Human Resources and I said, I need help. Because in my old job there was a union and they would protect me. And I remember this conversation like it was yesterday, because they said, my heart goes out to you because I see how bad it is, but there's nothing we can do to protect you because you're not a paid employee of the institution. Journalist Johnny Diamond made clear that, quote-unquote, there's no HR department for working royals because it's a family affair, and that managers of the Human Resources Department are only responsible when it comes to helping lower-level members of the royal staff and household. Regarding the royal family, a medical team called Medical Household as well as in-house doctors are at their service around the clock. Therefore, it is difficult to understand why Meghan didn't ask them for help if she needed it. Biographers also questioned Meghan's claim of not being offered any help because her need of therapy wouldn't have been a precedent. The Queen's father, King George VI, sought help from speech therapist Lionel Logue from the 1920s to mid-1940s because of his stutter. Princess Margaret, the Queen's deceased sister, was treated by psychiatrist Mark Collins in regard of her depression after she had a mental breakdown in the 1970s, and Harry's father, Prince Charles, went to Ellen McGlashan's therapy sessions for 14 years. Lady Diana, Harry's mother, stated in an interview from 1995 that she received a quote-unquote great deal of treatment when she dealt with postpartum depression, and even Harry himself said in 2017 that he went to counseling after his mother had passed away. Meghan Markle talked about conversations taking place in the palace regarding the darkness of her son's skin, which she received as second-hand information from her husband Harry while she was pregnant. In those months when I was pregnant, all around the same time, so we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born. Different from Meghan, Harry stated there weren't multiple conversations and comments made about the topic, but more so one conversation in particular he had with a member of the royal family who stayed unnamed during the interview. He said, "That conversation I'm never going to share, but at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked." Later, Oprah Winfrey announced that those comments weren't made by the Queen, nor her recently deceased husband, Prince Philip, and it was soon after revealed by the author Lady Colin Campbell that it was Harry's Aunt Anne who he had the conversation with, but that the accusations were rooted in a quote-unquote misunderstanding. According to Campbell, Anne's comments weren't aimed at Meghan's nor Archie's skin color, but her quote-unquote conduct and character. There were no concerns about Meghan's color. Princess Anne was rightly concerned that if the marriage proceeded and there were children, there would be huge problems. Not because of Meghan's color, but because of Meghan's inability and determination to remain unable to appreciate the cultural differences and to have respect for the institution into which she was going to marry. Harry ran to Meghan with the objections. Meghan weaponized them on the grounds of color. Of course we don't know what has been said in privacy regarding Archie's skin color, but the fact that there were differences in Meghan's and Harry's statements regarding the alleged amount of conversations about the topic is worth noticing. Although Archie was granted his father's senior subsidiary title, Earl of Dumbarton, it has been reported that, at the time of his birth, Meghan and Harry decided against it since they want their son to grow up as a private citizen. Still, Meghan complained about her son not having the title of a prince, implying a racist motive. And also the idea of the first member of color in this family not being titled in the same way that other grandchildren would be. You know, the other piece of that conversation is, there's a convention that when you're the grandchild of the monarch, so when Harry's dad becomes king, automatically Archie and our next baby would become prince or princess, or whatever they were going to be. The decree Meghan was referring to was issued in 1917 by King George VI, the Queen's father, and limits the title Prince or Princess to children of the monarch, male grandchildren, plus the eldest son of the eldest son of the Prince of Wales, William's son, Prince George. Archie would only be accorded the title of a prince if Prince Charles ascends the throne, as this would make him the grandchild of the then monarch. Since 2012, the children of Prince William have all been titled Prince and Princess and not just the eldest son George, because the Queen issued letters patent the same year. Because the Queen didn't change the decree again so that Meghan's and Harry's son would receive the title of a prince as well, Meghan indicated that the rules will be changed again to prevent Archie from receiving the title in case Prince Charles ascends the British throne, saying, "Yeah, but also it's not their right to take it away." According to Bob Morris, a member of the Constitution Unit, if changes are about to be made, the reason wouldn't be to prevent Archie from his title, but Prince Charles's long-established idea to reduce the inner circle of the royal family, while the in-depth procedure for this case hasn't been made public yet. Angela Levin, a royal biographer, explained that those measures will be taken to, quote-unquote, save costs and to make people be worth the money that they got from the taxpayer. In January 2020, Meghan and Harry announced that they would retire from their duties as senior members of the royal family only 18 months after their marriage. This took the world by surprise, with the incident from then on being dubbed as Megxit, leading to a change of status since Meghan and Harry would no longer be active members of the royal family and, therefore, would no longer receive state-funded security around the clock. As determined by the Royal and Executive Committee, responsible for deciding which members of the royal family receive full-time security, Harry and Meghan, like other quote-unquote part-time members, would only receive state-funded protection when carrying out their duties, but not during their private time as it used to be while working for the royal family. Usually, Harry and Meghan were protected by the Metropolitan Police and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police while staying in Vancouver, costing British taxpayers £1 million per year, and was denied while the negotiations regarding the Megxit took place. From then on, Meghan and Harry were responsible to pay for their own security, which didn't sit well with the couple. Apart from her complaint that her son will not receive the title Prince per decree, Meghan stated that this circumstance would highly affect their son's safety, since there wouldn't be any state-funded security as long as he wasn't considered a prince. I thought, can you just tell them the truth? Can you say to the world you're not giving him a title and we want to keep him safe, and that if he's not a prince, then it's not part of the tradition? Just tell people and then they'll understand? Listening to Meghan Markle, it seems like the prior mentioned circumstance of Archie not receiving the title of a prince goes against convention and would be necessary for him getting police protection. This is not true. As Ken Worth, Princess Diana's former protection officer, stated, "Not one single member of the royal family at that sort of age gets individual protection. What happens is they become part of their parents' protection in the same way that William and Harry did with Diana and Charles. Archie would have been protected as a member of the royal family. The whole point is that it was quite ill-conceived on Meghan's part because what she was saying wasn't correct." Apart from the removal of security, the couple also complained about their financial support being cut off in 2020, allegedly contradicting an agreement by which Prince Charles was obligated to grant financial support for a period of 1 year, as well as mentioning the reimbursement of the money which was spent on their security during that time without seemingly understanding why they lost their right to state-funded security. Harry said, "Their justification is a change in status, of which I pushed back and said, well, is there a change of threat or risk? And after many weeks of waiting, eventually I got the confirmation that no, the risk and threat hasn't changed, but due to our change of status, by which we would no longer be official working members of the royal family, there obviously, what we proposed was sort of part-time, or at least as much as we could do without being fully consumed." Additionally, Harry pointed out that he had to use parts of the inheritance which he received after his mother's death, £6.5 million in total, to care for his family, including security. And look, from my perspective, all I needed was enough money to be able to pay for security to keep my family safe. I don't know if Prince Harry is aware of it, but £6.5 million is quite a lot of money, not even including the £10 million he received at his 30th birthday in 2014 and £14 million Harry and his brother William were gifted from their grand-grandmother, of which Harry got the larger part because he doesn't ascend the throne. Since I don't know how large Harry's portion was and we divide the sum of £14 million in half just for the sake of it, all of this money would still add up to £27.5 million, not even taking Meghan's assets into account, who is still getting paid by streaming services. Therefore, it's not like they don't have any assets to rely on, apart from Harry's future opportunities to make money just because of his royal title. This is why Meghan's and Harry's demand for state-funded security comes across as very entitled, since there is no reason for UK citizens to pay for royal members who aren't even active in their role of representing the monarchy. Harry should just accept that he can't live like a king, not even like a prince as he used to, at the expense of UK citizens, if he isn't an active member of the royal family anymore. In the end, Meghan and Harry have a huge influence to reduce the risk by changing their lifestyle to the private existence they said they wanted anyway. During the interview, Prince Harry presented their commercial deals with Spotify and Netflix as a way to afford future security costs, but, as it was later reported by the Daily Telegraph, the couple had quote-unquote well-developed proposals with the streaming service Quibi, now defunct, throughout 2019, a year prior to the Megxit. For this reason, if there were concrete plans regarding future video projects, it is questionable if the Spotify and Netflix deals just came in handy at the right time. Although Meghan Markle and Prince Harry tried to explain their side of the story and gain sympathy for their situation, in the end the interview did more harm than good. Many of their statements have been misleading, if not proven to be wrong shortly after, reducing their credibility immensely. Because of this, Meghan and Harry didn't do themselves any favor by agreeing to the interview, except for the medial coverage received. Or do you disagree? What do you think were the couple's intentions for giving the interview? Do you think it was just to gain sympathy, or were there deeper-rooted intentions for the false claims if they can be debunked so easily? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, subscribe if you want to, and I will, hopefully, see you in my next video.